What up, Block fam? Welcome to today's episode. We're going over the Indian Sport Chief, newly announced from Indian Motorcycles. So let's roll the intro, and then we'll get into some crispy B-roll, list out some specs. So basically, we're gonna do a leg, kind of stop in between at each one, give you guys my thoughts and impressions. So yeah, on this press ride, we've got a good amount of press here. I don't know everybody. I know we've got Brandon Picasso, we got Chase on 2 wheels, we got Marvel Kid, we got her 2 wheels down there as well. And then I believe her name is Jess, founder of Goldzilla. Alright, so on sequence for the Indian Sport Chief. On button. You got your on-off switch. There we are, neutral. And then we press and tap, and it turns on. Hell yeah! So just going over controls before we get into the press ride. Left side, clutch, obviously. Horn, bright, pass light, indicators, music selection toggles, and whatnot. Beautiful ride command gauge here, which has touchscreen. Tons of stuff that you can go into. Different ride modes, all sorts of stuff. This gauge is just amazing. One of the key standouts for sure. And then on the right side, pretty traditional throttle, brake, on off like we were just going over. You press to turn on, you press this to start, and then you've got your cruise control on the right. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Like I was saying, gauge in the center, just to go further over this, it is a touchscreen round gauge, which is amazing. It's technology that they actually had to work for a while to get going. Apparently round touchscreens weren't really a thing, so they really had to work for a while to develop this, but it is just so well done. Basically the touchscreen capabilities, which does work with gloves also, so if I were to put the glove back there, boop, boop. Within this you do have a bunch of different menus, so you can do gauge, bike ride, map, music, phone, you've got GPS and all this stuff. Yeah, continuing to go over the gauge, you do have ride mode, so Tour, Standard, Sport. So it's an electronic throttle. With Sport mode, the throttle gets way more touchy. Touring, it tames it down a bit. Standard is pretty much right in the middle. You got your brightness and stuff. So I'm going to leave it on the Standard while we're here in the city. But I'm going to switch over to Sport whenever we're in like a little bit more twisties. You got your different gear options, so miles per hour, RPMs in this, gear indicator, fuel level, odometer, and your direction as well as ambient temp. Alright, that's shoot one. So far so good. Like I was saying, throttle response feels very similar to previous Indian motorcycles. Gauge definitely the standout. Looks and feels amazing as always. The suspension is feeling good, you know, easy to throw into a lean thus far. We haven't really gotten to like super leans, but initial thoughts, impressions.
Oh dude, I put it in sport mode immediately.
Oh, really?
Like, and I was like, this was a mistake.
Yeah.
We're going around the corner and she's like, grr.
Yeah, no, I remember from last time around to like in this environment to leave it in standard.
Yep.
And then when we get out into the canyons, the twisties or whatever, that's when you throw it in sport mode.
Exactly.
Sure. Otherwise it's too twitchy.
My first photos are gonna look real goofy because my legs all flying out.
Picasso, first thoughts, impressions, what do you think? That little short.
I like to sit on it, but call me Scrape Picasso because I can't not scrape it in a turn. But I agree, the same thing about the standard and the sport mode. Like in the city, it's better for standard because that throttle is so twitchy.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun still though.
Do you say Scrape Picasso?
Yeah, Scrape Picasso.
Scrape Picasso, you heard it here first. What'd you think, man?
Dude, I love this thing. I'm surprised with how nimble it is. Again, with kind of all the geometry changes they made. It's really flickable. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
It's like,
Marvel, first
So-
thoughts?
loving it so far. I like the riser setup, more comfortable.
Dude, you got that tall boy riser setup.
Yeah, 10-inch. So
Bro,
once we
did
get
you
on the
do a-
highway, get some highway speeds. I want to test out the fairing, and the riser's really good.
Did you do a wheelie on it yet?
3 times.
3 times? Around the turn? Like a hairpin wheelie, just 12 o'clock hairpin? Hell yeah.
Alright, back to it.
Alright guys, back to the ride portion. Put it on this other gauge mode. A little more simple, easier to see. First initial thoughts, impressions from a couple people there. I'm going to be doing that throughout the episode, so get used to hearing other people's thoughts and impressions. I like to kind of keep it well-rounded, not just my opinion and perspective, so sharing with you guys everybody else's too. Also, be sure to go check out their channels as well if you guys want some additional insight reviews, that different perspective. Alright guys, so we're back on the bikes. I'm going to do some runs, get some photos, which we'll show you here in just a second after the runs. And then I'll get some feedback from some of the peoples on that initial leg. There was a couple good twisties in there. Sean being crazy good as always, absolutely leaving us. Alright, so what else? First initial thoughts, impressions after hitting some twisties, getting some speed.
I'm really happy with all the changes. Riser setup definitely helps out. Suspension, like we were talking about, it's basically everything that we wanted them to have or to change.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like everything that like you would do to the bike after you get it, but they've just done it from the factory.
Yeah.
And it's like good components too, like Fox and
Fox suspension.
KYB, inverted fronts, right? Brembo brakes. Sheesh, most people wouldn't do that shit because y'all cheap out, right?
First impressions, I scraped easily. Once again, went through the curve, a little hot. You can push it and still bring it back. It's easy to ride. The handlebars, I think, complement the style of the bike and also the maneuvering of the bike. Forks, it easily wants to dive in and out of the curves. The brakes, you have to be a little careful with them because
Bro, touchy. But
Yeah,
then
very
like
touchy.
it feels like
One finger.
the back end kind of wanders a little
yeah,
bit.
if you hit
whenever
them
get
too
on it.
hard, it'll definitely catch you off guard. But suspension, raising the rear, I hit some pretty serious potholes.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had that extra inch, so it does pretty well. But overall, I like it. But like you guys said, it is something that we asked for. But yeah, I like it.
Cool. So changes thus far, good. Suspension, like Bagasso said, that extra little bit of travel in the back, significant because we've hit some pretty good holes like on the way here, and noticeable.
The hair has grown since the last time. what does that give you, 10 horsepower?
Oh yeah, like easily. In another month or so, it'll be 11. I'm working on that 11 horsepower. It's perfect because it's windy out here too. All right, back to the bikes. time. So Marvel Kid here is gonna swap me out motorcycles so I can try the one with the taller risers and windshield.
Riser are 10-inch, and then the windshield is a 9-inch.
Okay, and these are what?
These are 6, and then the 4-inch windshield in the front, 406, something like that.
Word. Yeah, this definitely looks more like club style, like what people would build, a little bit taller.
Yeah,
You're liking it so far? It's comfy?
I love it. I mean, it's similar to the setup I have at home on my Low Rider and my other bikes.
Right. All right. So yeah, with the risers on here, massive difference. So big thanks to Marvel Kid over there for lending me this one. We are here at the Lucky Rabbit, which is a restaurant that's we're eating lunch at. Yeah, just on that short little run here. I don't know if I'm gonna have the bike with the risers after this. Might lend it back, but huge difference in the handling feel. It's definitely much easier to throw around. Obviously, makes sense. Sport mode is such a big difference. It's just crazy. Like whenever you change it into sport mode, like how much more responsive it becomes. Suspension feeling nice. Throttle response, power feeling nice. Overall, great bike. No complaints so far. And the seat, I don't know if it's just because we've been like kind of stopping like every now and then. I don't know, I think the longest distance that we have is like 45 miles. But the seat, it's actually pretty comfortable. Whereas the last Chief that I had, I remember stopping after probably about 30 miles or so, getting off, and my back being in pretty rough shape. So definitely an upgrade on the seat. So let's grab some food to show you guys what that looks like. So there's a whole like little back area over here that they've got at this Lucky Rabbit place. So apparently there's a whole bar in here. So I would assume they open the windows up and yeah, well, whole bar in there, cornhole area back there, picnic tables, crazy. All right guys, so we've gotten some male perspectives and then we're gonna follow up with Jess as well, but we got Carolina here.
How's it going?
What are your thoughts so far on the Sport Chief?
I love it. It's amazing. Fast baddie.
What do you normally ride?
I'm on a Scout Rogue now.
Okay. And then you said you got a dirt bike as well?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a little Honda CRF 230.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got a lot more power in this beast. So.
Yeah? You think the Rogue's in trouble or?
No, I mean, I think, you know, I mean, this bike's got way more power. So I think, you know, it's got a little bit of for everybody.
So you're gonna keep the Rogue and get this one is what you're saying? Yeah.
For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, since I saw the pictures of the red one, I think that's all I was commenting on Instagram, on Indian's Instagram. I was like, that red is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice,
So
especially like, it's weird because it's a matte, but it's a pearl.
it's got that little bit of glitter.
Pop.
A little bit of sparkle.
Yep. Alright, let's see how fast I can hit redline and get up to speed before the camera. But it's kind of cool how the gauge lights up red as you approach redline. It's almost like a shift light.
Is camera ready?
Alright guys, so we are at the end of the ride and back in Austin. Indian Motorcycles, like I said, they let us basically take the bikes and they said, hey, take them, ride wherever you want, just be back by 5:30. So pretty much rode around Austin for a little bit and kind of got a feel for the bike. took it on the highway as well, just to get a feel for the highway. Wrapped up my full thoughts and opinions after we've put about 140 miles on this bike today in all sorts of different environments. We've gone over some pretty gnarly roads. That one cattle road where it said like livestock was out in the road and stuff. It had the cattle grates, it had the low bridges, all that stuff. That was a pretty gnarly road. We're catching some air off of some of those bumps, which was crazy. Got some pretty nice twisty paved stuff. Lots of hilly like elevation changes, which is pretty cool. Pretty well-rounded test ride for this one. The bike that I ended up with, it does have the taller risers, so there are 2 riser options. I prefer the taller option, obviously, because this is kind of what I'm used to. Also, whenever I'm sitting, my shoulders are more in line with my arms whenever I'm on the bike. The mid controls, absolutely loving them. So sorry about this bird that is singing in the background. He just will not stop. He's having a great day. I don't know how much it'll impact the audio, so apologies beforehand. You've got a bird singing. I hired him, sure. So yeah, the mid controls, awesome. Like, especially on some of those bumpier roads, it definitely gives you more of that kind of feeling that you're in touch, in tune with the bike, being able to stand up, shift your weight easily, put it over the center of the bike versus the forward controls. The other Chief, the regular Chief, it did have mids as well as forwards. I didn't really mind the forwards on it, but I do like the mids on this one for sure. Just because some of those gnarlier roads that we were on, I was able to stand up, which is always really nice. And it also gives you a feeling of being more in control. I was able to scrape a couple times, but scraping this thing is a lot different than scraping the last original Chief, because they have raised the back with the taller shocks, and then they have reduced the rake, which brings the front of the bike up a little bit as well. Also, new suspension in the front with the inverted forks, a full package in the front. So the inverted KYB is non-adjustable. I think they did say they do offer adjustable. I know the Fox reservoirs in the rear, they do offer adjustable as well as an after like purchase option, accessory option. The Brembo front brakes, the dual disc 4-piston, these things are sensitive, crazy sensitive. I was using the back brake a lot, but anytime I needed that extra, I knew based on using the front a couple times to not grab too much, because it could bite you in the ass real quick. I mean, those provide plenty of grab, plenty of stopping power. A stock exhaust actually sounds pretty decent. I was impressed. The finishes, it's like the 4 different finishes. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the special like limited one. It looks kind of like bluish purple. A couple things on the Trek back. I did kind of start to feel my back hurting a bit, but that's going to be based on, you know, rider per rider, so not a deal breaker or anything like that. I am curious as to what, you know, this little handle thing is for. A couple people said like if you had a rider that that's where they hold on to, because there's no sissy bar, but I got on there and it's not comfortable like holding on to that thing. So if you're riding 2-up on this thing, you know, because it does have the passenger pegs, but if you're riding 2-up, I would just recommend like holding the person that you're riding with instead of using this thing like you're riding a bull, which is just weird. I do like the bars, MX style. This is actually a very similar setup to what I have on my personal bike, which is a 2020 Harley-Davidson Low Rider S, which I put the ST fairing on. Before I had the ST fairing though, I did have the Memphis Shades Road Warrior fairing, which is what this reminds me of quite a bit. So you basically have, you know, the lower fairing, you have the different options for the height on the windshields, but then this one, the windshield on this that they actually offer from the factory as an option with the flare, reminds me a lot of the Clockworks windshields, because they do offer that flare at the top. And a couple of guys were saying they thought it was going to look a little out of place, but I actually like it. It looks good to me. I recently tried a Clockworks on my ST and works great. So I imagine this one works well also. There's a lot of dust that you don't really notice until you start touching stuff here in Texas. Dust, dust, dust. I have heard that this little flare helps, especially in the rain. So it kind of throws the rain up instead of like straight back. It helps it to kind of go up and over the rider instead of like coming straight off the back of the windshield onto the rider. Despite it having that little flare up, whenever we were on the highway, it was hitting me pretty much dead center in the visor. It does block some wind. It definitely, you know, helps to keep it off your chest, but unfortunately it doesn't totally block the wind. If you duck down, you know, you can kind of get in that little cone that it does provide, so it's better than nothing. But at highway speeds, you know, we were going, you know, 70, 80 miles an hour. It was definitely still hitting me in the helmet, and after a while, because we were going, I don't know, 15-20 minutes, you do start to feel it a bit. That buffeting, that's kind of what gets a little exhausting, especially on longer trips. So if you guys are planning on longer trips, I don't know if you maybe want to do a taller windshield or what the tallest option is, but that is something that I noticed. It is awesome though that they do offer this now, and it does look like it's quick detach. They did say that you can actually add this to your previous model Chiefs. So if you guys do have the previous model Chief, not the Sport, you can add the front fairing to it. It does have a couple attachment pieces there and there, which would allow you to. I would say biggest improvement on this bike over the previous version is definitely the suspension. The Fox reservoir shocks, the inverted front end, the decreased rake, it feels great with handling, plenty of power, especially in sport mode. There's a pretty significant change between the throttle response in sport mode and the throttle response in standard. It would kind of be nice to maybe have something like right in between in there. I've mentioned this in previous videos. I couldn't find a way to just straight up change the mode from like a button or a combination of buttons on the bars. So like whenever you have it on, I'll show you guys. This does take a little bit to boot up, but it's not a huge deal. You can still start the bike and get going like without it being totally booted up. All right, so from here, like if you're not wanting to actually touch the screen, you're wanting to like use the buttons on the bars to change ride mode, there is a way of doing it, but I can't quite remember how. So you basically press this and then change the mode, which you can do with gloves, no big deal. But whenever it is on the gauge mode, you can press and hold the trigger here. So if you press and hold, it does go over to that. And then what I found myself doing was pressing and holding that. And then while I was doing that, I would let off a throttle, quickly touch to change whatever mode that I wanted it to be in, and then go back. And then while I was going back, I would touch this again in order to go back to the gauge. It would be nice if there was a button solely dedicated to like the mode change. This one on the back here, like there is a trigger button, but I can't really find that it does anything. So maybe if that was the mode button, like that would be super cool. I think that's only maybe my real point of feedback. They do offer the different range of seats. I did find that I was much less achy after riding this one for a while with this seat. So I think they started doing like gel and stuff in it, but it does feel much better than the previous Indian Chief seat. Yeah, I think that wraps it up. Overall, I'm a big fan. The fact that you can pretty much buy it like this from the factory. It has a good amount of power, 120 foot-pounds torque, they said, from the factory, but that's at the crank. So if we're factoring in like the 15% drivetrain loss, which you usually get, you're looking at like 105 foot-pounds torque, right? And then horsepower, I think they were saying was at like 90 something, but we'll have to get one on the dyno so that we can see what the horsepower number is. And then, you know, we'll tune it up and see maybe what else we can get from it. So plenty of power off the bat, bone stock, brakes, premium for sure, Brembos, 4 pistons, inverted front forks, LED headlights, risers. The gauge is definitely one of those like just home runs from Indian Motorcycle. The round touchscreen gauge responds really well to gloves, super intuitive. Exhaust note sounds great. Handling feels really good. The suspension on the harder bumps, really nice. The seat, not terrible, not best, but that's going to be subjective. But yeah, much better than it was, so great job there. Color options cool. In the ride today we saw gray, red, black. So we're going to head over to Revival Cycles, which is here in Austin. So beautiful Austin here. My first time in Austin. It's actually been a pretty good experience, especially, I mean, get to come here and ride motorcycles, which is pretty badass. All thanks to you guys watching and subscribing and hitting the like and commenting and all that stuff. So thank you guys for watching the channel, and all that allows me to be able to do cool shit like this. So thank you guys, much appreciated. So yeah, we're gonna head over to Revival Cycles, and then I'm gonna get everybody else's just real quick thoughts and feedback to kind of wrap this up. So let's go ahead right over there and we will wrap this video up. All right, here we are, Revival Cycles retail spots. What'd you think overall about the Sport Chief?
I mean, I love it, dude. It was only one little hiccup on it right now.
What's that?
That I had a little issue with. The GPS, like it was super slow.
Yeah. Dude, and it was also trying to redirect us somewhere else, so I had to take out my phone. I got my way back, so.
Besides that, I mean, it's amazing, dude. I love it.
I want to convert mine into one.
Nice.
But no, it's a great bike, seriously.
New trees, new forks, new rear suspension.
Yeah, $6,000 less in my pocket. Yeah, it's a great bike. It's a great experience to ride one, for sure. Definitely test ride one, if anything.
Oh yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like,
go find a dealership, go test ride one for sure.
Yeah, man, for sure. They come out, they're hitting dealers mid-March, we've been told. So super excited about that. 120 foot-pounds of torque, and that 116 is a ripper. It's a ton of fun. Yeah. And she may or may not spin up into third if you know how to turn the traction control on. I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Go check out Chase on Two Wheels' channel for further insight.
Sport mode scared the shit out of me, and I love the additional lean angle.
There you go, that's the test ride video. Big thanks to all these guys for giving me their thoughts and feedback. Be sure to go give them a follow on their Instagrams and YouTubes and all that stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button twice.
I never thought about hitting it twice.
If you hit it twice.
Yeah.
What happens? I don't know. Hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, be part of that Bill Yes squad. Till next time, ride safe out there, stay vigilant.
And be good.
Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.